What is up and welcome back again today. We'll be working on, Project Daily, but this time we're going to be working on Project Daily itself and not the engine. So what we'll be doing is we're going to be cleaning up the engine bay because, well, it's a little bit rusty, a little bit dirty, and might as well clean it up while we put the engine in. I also have to match paint for this paint, so we can also kind of clean up all that paint that's kind of gone missing over the last couple years. So that will just be like Scotch-Brite and stuff. I was very tempted to paint this whole engine bay, but I think I'll do that later when I start deleting a lot more stuff, like maybe power steering and AC, but we'll have to see. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to tackle this yet. I've just been looking at it for the last little bit, and I don't know. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see how much of the stuff I really need and like what can I push off to the side, and then we're going to kind of work our way from there. I do know I'm going to have to like use one of the flapper wheels on the angle grinder to get the like subframe nice and clean for paint and prime. But like here we'll scuff up, just get off all the dirt, and then we'll respray it. And then we'll probably take off the paint that's on all that stuff because that just doesn't look very nice. Also, I think I'm going to take the power steering pump out because I got to replace the O-rings anyways on it. Also, I'm going to do my best to like angle grind this out. I have no clue what the previous owner did, but it's not as smooth as it's supposed to be, and well, they didn't even paint the AC plate, I guess, the little thing for the AC, so I'll take that off too. And then that's kind of a mess that could be fixed too. So first thing I'm going to do is get that power steering pump off and then kind of work my way around that side. That wasn't very hard to do. All it was 2 bolts and it came off. Now I just got it draining into the oil pan, or oil thing for that, and I also took off. So this is a seal I think was leaking. So if you look, it's all oily right around here, so I'm assuming it's leaking there. But I will take a little bit of a closer look. If you guys know exactly why these leak all the time, let me know, because this one looks like it might be leaking in other places too. So now it's just going in there and moving stuff around and seeing what I can clean up and what I can't. So I'm going to get the angle grinder with the flappy wheel and my wire wheel on my drill and then just start working at it. So it's been a little bit, as you guys seen in that GoPro time lapse, I worked on this front sway bar here, or front subframe, not the sway bar. You do have to actually drop the subframe to do the sway bar, but no, I'm talking about the front subframe. So it's kind of hard for you guys to see, but I essentially have took all the rust off here and up on this plate here. So I also removed the kind of wire harness just to get it away while I was doing it, and now I can put it back once we respray it. But I also did underneath, so underneath is ready. So this whole front member of the subframe from here, like this point forwards, is all ready to be, that's going to be gloss black, so that's not an issue. But we're going to be lacquer thinnering it, and then we're going to take some rust converter, spray all the spots where I couldn't grind off completely because there's a lot. Yeah, so I was using the angle grinder with a 80 grit sandpaper flapper disc just because it's that intense of the rust, but we finally got it. Look at this, guys. That was white. So you can see how important these are when you guys are working in an environment like this. It's so much better. And then I was also using old biking goggles to cover the rest of my face, so I was under there like completely, as you can see, I still got some dust everywhere, but it's a lot better than having it in my lungs, I guess. So essentially what we're going to do is clean it with lacquer thinner, rust check it, and then we're going to gloss black rust check. Or we're going to prime it, then gloss black rust check paint. So we will do that, and then I'll show you guys kind of how I'm going to mask it, and then we're going to spray it, and then I think that's going to be it for today. I might do a little more sanding. Actually, I can't. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to finish sanding this area, the subframe area, and then I think that might be it. We'll see how it goes. And there we go. Everything that's supposed to be painted black is now been scraped off or derusted or angle grinded or wired wheeled, just so that we can get some paint on there and help protect it. Anyways, the next step I'm going to be doing is we're going to be taking lacquer thinner and cleaning everything up that's going to be painted, and then we're going to prime it with some metal primer, and then we'll eventually paint it. And then that's probably going to be it for today. I didn't expect to get the whole bay done, but there was a lot more rust, so I was hoping we'd get down to maybe here or something, but that's not going to happen because it's taken me a long time just to clean up all here in the front of the subframe. So I'm going to jump in there with some lacquer thinner, wipe it all down, and then we're going to spray paint. So there we go. It is all cleaned up now, so the bay is ready for some primer. So we'll just be using this gray primer because that's what I've been using for a while. It's also what I used on the bumper beam, so I have a bit of extra. So what we're going to do is we're going to spray the raw metal with this. I'm not going to spray everything just because it doesn't need to be sprayed. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to be doing the bottom first. So I'm going to be putting a piece of cardboard. I'll show you it once it's set up. I'll put a piece of cardboard on the top, and then put a piece of cardboard on the bottom, and then spray. And then that way, if I won't spray through and like hit the hood or hit any of these. And then if it drips, because I'm not the best spray painter, it will drip onto the cardboard, so we won't get any spray anywhere, hopefully. That's the plan. We'll see how it goes. That's why I'm also doing the primer not everywhere, just because it's a little bit easier. So the setup should be like that. There we go. So we have it, so you can't really see much because that's the way I want it. I don't want any overspray coming up. And then if we go down to the bottom, there's a piece of cardboard, so if it drips. So what I'll do is I won't time lapse this part under it because, well, you won't really see it. But I will do a little quick time lapse on the top part, so you guys can see me spraying that. And then I don't think we'll get to painting today because probably the primer needs to set. Depending on the primer, depending on the weather, it's always different. But I believe this stuff says recoat with 1 hour after 48 hours. So I guess I could spray with paint right after, essentially. But we will see. So let's do this. You can't tell, but the bottom half is all painted up. Oh, I should probably take that out now. But I was using that as a weight actually to keep the cardboard down. But the bottom half of the subframe is all done. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this guy up, and then we're going to tape off some stuff. There's some stuff I got to tape off before I do this. And then we're going to paint it. So let's do this. This shouldn't be too difficult. I don't think there's much to get on the paint either. But as you can see, there's a little bit of overspray. And let's just take a look down here, guys. So there you can see the bottom of the subframe. Look at that. It's nice gloss black now, no rust. All the way down this side. And then if you run over down this side, all gloss black. So it's much nicer than it was before. It is still probably going to rust. It's only going to slow it down a bit. Eventually I want one of the race subframes, the tube frames, that are so cool, but they're really expensive, so we probably won't do that for a while. But as I said, it's time to tape off a couple things and then paint all this, and then we'll have all the black done. And I think that'll be it for today because that's taken like 5 hours to do, so it's going to take about another 5 to do the rest of the paint. So we'll probably leave that for today. But let's get this already taped off. So I realized I didn't really have that much to mask actually. So I just pulled this guy up, even though it's got paint on it now. I just pulled it up so I don't get more paint on it. And then the rest of it can really just be sprayed because all we have here is fender liner. Don't really care if I get paint on there. I can always just take it off with lacquer thinner, so that's not that big of a deal. And then I will be painting this blue, but we can always just sand them down so that they paint sticks. So literally, we're painting all this here, and then all up there. So we should have a fair bit of, oh no, there's something here. We should have a fair bit of paint to do our prime first. I'm only going to rust convert these like areas in here where it's really bad and I couldn't get in with the angle grinder, but the rest will just be primed because they're looking pretty good. as I said, I'm not the best painter ever, and that definitely shows on the mistakes I just made. So I have to essentially sand down that back subframe just because I made a couple mistakes. So I first essentially painted, and there was a bunch of particles. I'm like, why is the particles? And I think when I pulled that cardboard out after I did the bottom, the kind of brought some dust, and there's dust everywhere. So I took some paint thinner and I grabbed the wrong rag, and I was wiping it down, and it was putting a bunch of fibers in it. So I'm like, what if I just spray over it? Yeah, so now it's like super heavy paint and there's fibers all over. So that's gonna have to be sanded down and painted sometime, but it's gotta dry, so we're gonna leave that. But I got this area done. It's not too bad. There's some particles in it, there's some rust in it, but it looks so much better. Like you can see on the camera, it's this nice gloss black piece now compared to what it was before. It's kind of actually hard to get on camera just because it's so glossy, but it's nice gloss black now. It's nice, and it's just protected. The main reason was just to protect it from the rust, but as you can see, like this chunk right here, right there, I did a really good job. I'm really happy the way that turned out. So yeah, we just gotta worry about that back piece, and then we're good to go to do the rest. So I'll do that when I do the rest of the bay. So for the rest of the bay, I actually really wanted to paint the whole engine bay, but we just don't have the time, or I want to think about deleting some of this, like AC and power steering or whatever. We'll eventually figure that out. So I just want to get it painted and ready to go. So that means we're going to have to clean this up a little bit. So I've got some brake cleaner, and then we're going to try to tape off as much as we can. The main parts are these frame rails. I've got to sand down so the paint sticks, and then paint them because, well, most of the bay is actually this blue, which is nice. But there is some that isn't, so we got to figure out what to do. So once again, we're making pretty good progress on Project Daily, and hopefully we should be done in a little less than a month. I really want to be done before the start of June, so we can cruise around in June. That's when the car season really starts to pick up, because as you guys know, we just got a blizzard here a couple days ago, and it's supposed to snow again this weekend, so there's no real rush to get out because we've got summer tires on Project Daily, and those summer tires aren't made for the snow, so we're not going to drive it till the snow is off the road and the gravel needs to be off the road. So just because they're in our compound, they throw gravel everywhere, and I just don't want to drive it while they're like that. Also, as I said, respirator, if you're doing paint, is good. Look at this, guys. That respirator, the like inside, it's supposed to be white. So that's like all the fumes that have been in the air, all the grinding. So it just shows how important it is. Get yourself one of these. Why I'm stressing it so much is because I didn't have one for 2 years. So yeah, that was in my lungs. So yeah, get a respirator if you're doing paint work like this, or grinding rust away or whatever. But anyways, that is going to be it for today. So peace out and stay humble.